All right, everybody, come on in, grab yourself a snack, get yourself something to drink, and let's hop right into this Shogun review. So this is Shogun episode 1, Anjin. So the title scene opens up giving us a little bit of back information about the Taiko dying, leaving behind an heir way too young to rule. Then we get to see this boat, the boat at the epicenter of everything that's going to happen in this episode and the next couple of episodes, with all the English sailors on it. Well, I don't know if they're sailors, they're pirates. I guess they're pirates. Have we decided if they're pirates? Whatever. There's some English dudes on a boat floating into Japan when they shouldn't be. The boat is in complete disarray. Everyone looks sick. Everyone looks like they're dying. People have lost hope. They do not think they're going to find what they're looking for. But this is where we see Pilot. We see Pilot pulling something in from the water, and it's white sand. And he's seemingly happy as a sickly, dying man can be. And he goes down into the boat where we see the captain of the ship, who is in complete and utter disarray. He's sickly, he's lost faith, he's talking about God, a call of death. He's being very dramatic. Their mission is to find Japan, but they're not sure if Japan actually exists. So this whole time, Japan has been kept a secret, and only the Portuguese are aware of them. Only the Portuguese have found them. So they hear word, Portuguese has this little secret land that they're not telling anybody about. So these English people are on their way to go see if this actually exists. The captain has lost faith. He doesn't think that it actually exists. He thinks it's just a fairy tale, and he's ready to call it quits. So Pilot gives the captain a gun, and he does exactly what you think he's going to do with that gun, and he kills himself because he's lost faith and he hears the call of God. And this is going to come up a few times in this show. These people are very, very religious. You see crosses everywhere. In Japan, the Portuguese have been able to convert some of the Japanese into their religion. Yeah, you still see people taking themselves out. Do y'all really believe in God? Do you really believe in these religions? Or is it just a power play? Obviously, that's what it is. So then we see a villager walking on the rocks, and he's noticing the boat coming in, and something that stands out is he is clutching his little makeshift cross. He has like a little wooden cross. So assuming he's also a convert, we see him on the rocks watching this boat come in. So we see the Japanese soldiers, who are led by Omi. Yes, Omi-sama. So Omi and his guys, they board the boat, and they notice the condition of the people on the boat and the cargo. Now had that been me, had I been Omi, seeing all them sickly Europeans on that boat looking just disgusting, I'd have lit that bitch on fire. No hesitation. But they do take a second and they look at the cargo. I don't remember what he picks up in his hand. It might be... The cannon is the thing. What is the little ball inside the cannon? I don't fucking know. I tried to look it up and all they're talking about is gunpowder. But anyway, he holds the little metal ball, okay, that I'm assuming gets loaded into a cannon. It might not even be called a cannon. I have no idea, okay? I'm not a weapons expert. So in the next scene, this is the first time that we meet Lord Yoshi Toranaga. He's with his son, and they're playing some sort of sport. They're sending what looks like a hawk to chase another bird, and he's just speaking poetically about his bird, talking about her ability to go unnoticed. And I think that point is worth keeping in mind as far as his character development, because it's going to play a theme with him and this idea that he's hiding his true intentions. We don't really know what Lord Toranaga is actually up to. So then Toranaga arrives at Osaka Castle And the people who presumably requested his presence there are actually shocked that he even showed up, which sets a tone. Should he be nervous? So that definitely sets us up to expect some type of drama to pop off. And this is when we're introduced to another important character, Ishido Kazunari's bitch ass. Now, it's not obvious that he's a bad guy, but he gives bad vibes. So I don't fuck with him. In the next scene, we meet General Tora Hirumatsu. I'm trying so hard to pronounce these names correctly. Tora Hirumatsu. I feel like I do that. And Hirumatsu, I instantly fuck with him. So now we see Toranaga go in front of the Council of Regents, and it's hostile off the bat. So apparently he approved of some marriages that they don't approve of, and he was able to double the size of his fief, and I guess that's a problem. But I mean, we're all lords. Isn't that the name of the game? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? But they take issue with that, so it's hostile. But what they're really big mad at, Toranaga took Lady Ochiba, aka the dead Taiko's baby mama. They took her to Toranaga's castle without permission. But Toranaga's excuse is that his daughter-in-law, who happens to be Lady Ochiba's sister, is in labor. But Ishido accuses him of taking her hostage in order to keep him safe during this meeting. Because at this point, it's obvious they plan on killing this man and all his people. Ishido's being super disrespectful, coming for his Minuara bloodline. Totally unnecessary, totally uncalled for. And one of Toranaga's folks starts getting heated. Okay, there's a little young man over there in the back shaking. Okay, because he's pissed that they're talking to his lord with a reckless mouth. So the rest of the council proceed to let Toranaga know that if he does not return Lady Ochiba Asapolis, there's going to be consequences, and those consequences are impeachment. And after hearing this, the young man who was fuming in his seat, Tadayoshi, he loses it. He jumps up out his seat. He's touching his sword, okay? And he's having words. He starts shouting at them about being disrespectful and how his lord doesn't deserve these accusations and he's a good man and how dare them. He's very upset. But Toranaga, he gets him in line, tells him to calm down. Young man, I got this. It's cool. They're not disrespecting me. How dare you even imply that these motherfuckers could disrespect me? So Tadayoshi apologizes. He calms him a little self down. And then he asks for permission to perform seppuku, which is a form of self-deletion. He also says that he will end his family line and all that carry his name. And I didn't understand if that meant he was gonna take out his whole family, child, or just himself. And like by virtue of him being a man and not being able to have kids anymore, his family line wouldn't continue. I mean, self-deletion is something that don't involve nobody else. You know what I mean? But in the next scene, Toranaga is speaking to Hirumatsu, whose granddaughter, Fuji, is married to Tadayoshi. And Toranaga makes it a point to say, I'll make sure nothing happens to Fuji. So at that point, I'm like, why? Why? So my husband, okay, makes a mistake at a business meeting. And now I gotta, and me and mines? Girl, what a world, what a reality to live in. Your husband disrespects somebody. And now your whole, in Toranaga's conversation with Hirumatsu, we get an even clearer picture that they do plan on killing their entire clan once they return Lady Ochiba. So at this point, we know what Toranaga and his people are up against. So at this point, Toranaga sends Hirumatsu to check on this barbarian ship. But before he gets there, we see Omi talking to that same villager who watched the boat float up, and he's talking to him about his uncle Yabushinge and how his uncle is coming to inspect whatever is on that ship. The villager clasps his cross and starts praying once he hears about Yabushinge coming, and we'll all find out why. So back inside the ship, we see Pilot, or Blackthorn. John Blackthorn is his name, but everybody calls him Pilot. We see Pilot in the ship with his men, and he is trying to devise a plan, and their plan is to pretend to be Portuguese. Now, I only speak one language, but you're not about to sit up in my face and speak Spanish and you tell me you speak in German. Like, I can heal the difference. So, you know, I don't know how good of a plan that is, but that's their plan, y'all. So back in Edo, we find Todoyoshi cornering his wife, Fuji, while she's carrying their baby, because he's got to carry through with what he said he was going to do. Fuji, of course, is not fucking with that idea. Absolutely not. And so she draws a knife on herself and threatens to harm herself. And this is when we meet Lady Mariko. Mariko steps in to try to reason with Fuji. Now, Fuji isn't necessarily upset that her child is about to be. She is upset because she feels it is her purpose to go with her son, right? The whole line is supposed to be taken out. So her husband, and her child should leave this life together. But as we saw, Toranaga said he was not going to let that happen. So she is upset that she has to stay while her child leaves. Her purpose is not going to be fulfilled now. But Mariko reassures her, you know, if Toranaga is telling you you need to live, then that is your new purpose. So Yabushinge finally arrives in Izu, which is where the boat came in. Omi tries to get the white men to come up from the bottom of the boat, but there's a language barrier, okay? I can't understand you. And trying to get them to come up out of the boat, a little scuffle breaks out, but eventually they get Pilot, or Blackthorn, up out of the ship. So that same villager that we keep seeing, his name is Muranji. Muranji is a Christian convert, right? So he's wearing his little cross, and Omi asks him, hey, do you speak a little Portuguese? He does. So he asks him to translate for Pilot. Pilot immediately tries to negotiate some shit that just ain't about to happen. And Muranji tells him, look, bro, this is Japan. You gotta be a good boy. All right, you gotta behave. Stop acting a fool. Stop acting like a goddamn barbarian. Okay? And fall in line. This shit don't belong to you no more. Okay? This our shit now. But unfortunately, Blackthorn has all the caucasity in the world and starts acting a fool, which, Omi beats his ass and then pisses on him. In the next scene, while marching Blackthorn to meet with Yabushinge, the soldiers are confronted by other villagers who are asking questions about his Christianity and whether he's on trial, and they start praying for him, and this irritates the soldiers, right? To the point, I believe it was Omi. Was it Omi? I think Omi turns around and slices one of their heads off, because y'all gotta leave that God shit. You know what I'm saying? He not fucking with it. He not fucking with your Christian God. He don't give a damn. So when they finally bring Blackthorn in front of Yabushinge, they have a different person there to translate, and it is a Portuguese priest, a Portuguese Catholic priest, okay? Blackthorn is an English Protestant. Those two groups don't fuck with each other. So Blackthorn is trying to explain himself, but the priest is not trying to help with the translations, okay? The priest is just basically telling Yabushinge, look, he a pirate, he a murderer, he here to kill, he evil, take him out. In this scene, it would seem that the Japanese don't even know that other types of Europeans exist. They only know of the Portuguese, and that's because the Portuguese ain't told them shit. But anyway, since the priest is being foul, he not translating, Yabushinge decides to confiscate Blackthorn's ship. This incites Blackthorn to do whatever he can to get the message through to Yabushinge that this priest and me, we are not the same. And this kind of works. Yabushinge decides, you know, just send him to one of these houses and get this man bathed to death. The priest does not fuck with that idea. He wants this man killed. Yabushinge says, okay, cool, we'll kill one of them. You pick some other one, we'll kill him. In my special way. And if you could see the look on his nephew's face when he says that. Back at Osaka Castle, we see Toranaga, and he's hanging out with the future Taiko. What were they doing? I don't remember. They were doing something. He ends up telling this little boy all his business about his childhood, getting sold off and traded between his father's enemies. Like, what kind of life was this? What kind of life is this? What were y'all doing back in the day? And this isn't the first time I've heard a story like this. One of them European kings did the same thing, sent his kids to go live with their enemies. I think it was one of the Spaniards. I don't remember. I'm gonna look it up though. But like, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all trading y'all's kids? But anyway, y'all. The little Taiko runs off to his little writing lesson, but not before letting Toranaga know he better run his mama back ASAP. At this point, Toranaga and Lady Io sneak off and have a little conversation about how Ishiro might have convinced all the other regents to be on his side going against Toranaga. They speculate that Ishiro will eventually have them all killed and eventually the young heir for some sort of power play. In this scene, Lady Io brings up Toranaga's Minuara bloodline once again. So this bloodline, it was a long time ago, child. I think they said like in the 1100s, 1200s, something like that, that the emperor at that time designated this bloodline to be the only bloodline that can ever hold the position of shogun. Right? But in their time, they're in the 1600s, so they're in the late 16th century, so they're in the year 1600 right now. And this time, there is no shogun, right? But if there were to be one, Toranaga would be the only person with the correct heritage or the correct bloodline to even hold that position. And so everyone is afraid of him stepping up and being like, yo, I'm here to claim my birthright. I'm shogun up in this bitch. And obviously the other regents don't want that to happen. Toranaga swears up and down he does not want to be shogun. He says that title is a relic of, what did he call it? What did he call it? A relic of a bygone era. Using words. He's always making little comments about, you know, being happy with just his little fief, and he doesn't like coming to these meetings, and being in power just seems tedious, right? But I give him the side eye because that little comment that he made about that hawk, like, baby, I see you. I see you, my love. Lady Io tells him, we don't have time for you to try to be a nice guy, okay? Right now is the time for a shogun. If you die, what's gonna happen to the future heir? But Toranaga shuts her down and it's like, it's not for me. I'm not doing it. We're gonna have to re-strategize. This next scene is where they kill one of Blackthorn's men, which is by boiling that man alive in a big old cast iron pot. You see Yabushenge sitting in the rain, okay, just listening. Just listening to the screams of this man being boiled alive. Apparently, he has this obsession with the final moment before death, and I guess listening to people die is the closest way he can get to that moment. So after we listen to this man get boiled to death and die, finally just bops his head on the edge of the pot because he can't take it no more, child. After he's finally dead, we get to meet Kiku. And Kiku is the most celebrated courtesan in all of Izu. She's there to delight Yabushige, which she does by taking down one of his assistants in front of him. But he's into it. I guess in watching him listen to this man be boiled to death, she realized he might have a little voyeurism in him, so she smashes the assistant, which that's what I would have did too, because ain't no way I'm smashing a man who is just getting off to listening to another dude get cooked. You know what I'm saying? So the next morning, Blackthorn is tearing up these people's house, okay? Busting holes through their little paper walls. Are those easy to fix? I wonder if that's easy to fix. I don't know. I'm gonna Google. You got Yabushige having breakfast with his nephew, and he's still obsessing over that sailor's death. Still talking about it. And asks his nephew to recite a poem about it. Omi gives him a little haiku. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese. I couldn't count the syllables. But he gave him a little something. Yabushige congratulates his nephew on maintaining the fief, since the fief, I want to say fief so bad because there's an I in it. How is it? Are you sure it's not pronounced fief? I googled it and it says fief. I don't like it, fief. It's ugly. But anyway, he congratulates him on what he's been doing with the land and tells him he will increase the land by 3,000 koku, which is some amount of rice that could be produced from your land. So I don't know if that means he's giving him more land or what, but he says he's going to increase his fief by 3,000 koku, which Omi is stoked about. Then Omi asks his uncle about not telling Toranaga about the boat. Yabushige replies with, why tell a dead man the future? But Toranaga definitely know about them shit. Hurumatsu about to pop up on y'all any moment, so. But Omi and Yabushige continue to strategize about, you know, what moves to make after Toranaga is dead. And they assume they will have a better position if they have those weapons that are on that boat, because in their mind, Ishiro is going to have to go up against those Portuguese, right? That's going to be the new war. And they think they'll have a better position if they have weapons that belong to the Portuguese. But then Hurumatsu pops up and lets them know real quick that boat, everything on it belongs to Toranaga. They're big mad, but ain't shit they can do about it. So. And they tell him they're taking Blackthorn as well, so. This is when we're introduced to Rodriguez, the Spaniard. He arrived to Japan with the Portuguese, and he basically just sets Blackthorn straight. He just fills in the blanks for him and lets him know the gravity of the situation that he's really in. The two of them are on the ship having a little bonding moment over being white, and that's when a storm hits, nearly killing all of them. In the midst of all the chaos of this storm, thankfully, Blackthorn, being the pilot, very skilled pilot that he is, he's able to get the crew together and manages to get them to turn into the swell, whatever that means. I don't know, not a boating expert, but it saves their life. But not before Rodriguez is tossed off the side of the boat. But Blackthorn, he jigs up like a piece of wood and some rope, tosses it out to Rodriguez. You can't tell if he catches it or not. Rodriguez is just out in the ocean at this point. But he throws him a little something in hopes that he can catch it. So they eventually wind up back on land. Blackthorn wants to go look for Rodriguez, but Hirumatsu is like, absolutely not. Blackthorn keeps fighting. Yabushinge is able to convince Hirumatsu, a group of them, Yabushinge, Blackthorn, and 2 of Yabushinge's men go off looking for the Spaniard, looking for Rodriguez. When they finally find Rodriguez, he is at the bottom of a cliff, laying amongst some rocks. They can't tell if he's alive or not, but he's there and he's clutching onto that piece of wood that Blackthorn threw out into the water for him, so we know that that worked. Blackthorn, with a whole bunch of rope, attempts to go down the cliff, but Yabushinge's men won't let him. And so Blackthorn challenges Yabushinge to do it. So Yabushinge, ego, leads him down the side of this cliff, right? And on his way down, the rope snaps and he busts his ass on the bottom of those rocks, but he manages to get up. He goes down. He tries to collect Rodriguez, and I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why he thought this was a good idea, but he decides he's gonna carry another grown-ass man with him, okay? Trying to scale a slippery-ass, wet cliff with waves crashing onto them. Why he thought he was going to be able to do that successfully? Because he didn't. He ends up falling into the ocean and almost dying. So while Yabushinge is in the ocean, he's clinging onto a rock. He does not think he's going to survive. And in that moment, he draws his sword and he's gonna end it, okay? He's gonna kill himself. But right before he decides to stab himself, one of his men drops down a rope, grabs that rope, he gets back up on top. Now there's a scene once he reaches the top of the cliff. Blackthorn was witnessing all of this. He saw him down there, he saw him draw his sword, he saw him getting ready to take his own life. I don't know what that meant to him, but it touched him in some sort of way. It touched Blackthorn in some sort of way. That when Yabushinge got back up on the cliff, Blackthorn bowed to him. I didn't catch that. I mean, I saw it, but I'm not 100% sure what that means and why he felt the need to bow to him. Like, he respected that? He respected that he was gonna kill himself? Different time, different life, different world. So then we're brought back to Osaka Castle, where we see Mariko thinks she is going to have a meeting with her father-in-law, Hirumatsu, but instead she is in a meeting with Toranaga. Toranaga asks her if she will translate for them during their meeting with Blackthorn. She seems hesitant about it and actually suggests that they use a different translator. Not sure why. I don't know if it's like a religious thing or what, but she's hesitant. She doesn't initially want to do that. Toranaga brings up Mariko's father's death and how she was robbed of the opportunity to die with him. Apparently that was her purpose, similar to Fuji. She was supposed to go out with her father, but was robbed of that opportunity and was made to live. Not 100% sure on how exactly it's affecting her. Is it a survivor's guilt thing, or is it a I wish I was dead thing? But Toranaga does ask her, will your loyalty to your god conflict with your service to me? And she says absolutely not. She says that she has two hearts. She's not just a Christian. I'm not 100% sure what's going on behind those eyes with Lady Mariko, but there's something. There's something. Back on the boat was Blackthorn and Rodriguez. They're having a little kiki, but then Rodriguez switches up and lets Blackthorn know that he found his orders on his ship. He knows that he was ordered to plunder any Spanish territory he came across and to eventually reach Japan and open the trade routes to Europe. That pisses Blackthorn off, obviously. And so Blackthorn pops up. He grabs like what? Like a kettle? What's he gonna do? He's gonna bash that man's head in with a kettle. Boy, sit down. But he grabs his little kettle because he about to bash Rodriguez's head in. But Rodriguez pulls out a gun. What's your little kettle gonna do, boy? But now Blackthorn knows that as soon as Rodriguez can, he's gonna snitch on him to the Portuguese. As he should. So they finally reach Osaka. And Rodriguez asks Blackthorn to go look at Osaka and tell me if you think our world is the hilt of civilization. And we're hit with this just breathtaking view of 16th century Osaka, Japan. Then he asks him, ask yourself, what kind of man wields power over this land? Then they take us from this gorgeous landscape of Japan and decide to punch us right in the gut as we watch Torayoshi prepare himself and his son for their, I mean, what would you call it? A ceremony? Hated it. I'd have burnt that thing down. I couldn't have lived in that time. I would not have lived long. I would have had a very short life because I'd have burnt that whole building down. We then see Morangi, the villager, sending a messenger bird, which I'm guessing means he's the spy. Remember, Yabushenge and Omi never told Toranaga about the shit. They wanted to keep that shit for themselves. Toranaga found out some other way. So seeing Morangi with the messenger birds, and then we also see Toranaga having his own messenger birds, you just connect the dots and it's probably him. And also remember, Omi was sitting up there in the beginning telling all him and his uncle's business to this villager. You don't even know him, and you just telling him all your business and your uncle's business, and y'all boiled a Christian, and he a Christian. He wasn't taking kindly to that. Like, he give religious zealot vibes, so you know. So the episode comes to a close with Toranaga, Mariko, Blackthorn, and several other men in a room back at Osaka Castle, getting ready to have their meeting. In the final scene, we see Blackthorn bowing to Toranaga. I think that represents that at this point, he's starting to grasp what's going on. So he's starting to come around and really get an idea of the situation that he has found himself in. And also Rodriguez had filled him in on who exactly Toranaga is. So far so good. I'm loving it. Except for the baby killing. And Fuji. I hope Fuji fuck all y'all up over that. Fuji gonna get her get back. Kiko, I'm interested to see what develops with Kiko. Kind of just popped up in that one scene. But she's on a lot of the flyers. Like, she's on a lot of the artwork for the show. So I'm thinking she's gonna play a more essential role eventually. Mariko, love her. Would love to see how her character develops. Omi, I want to see where he goes. You can tell he don't really fuck with his uncle like that, but he needs him, obviously, because his uncle is the lord of his land. What they say about chicks who eat hot chips, true. All I do is eat hot chip and lie. I'm about to go find somebody to lie to right now. Blackthorn, I don't give a damn about it. I hope he die. I don't know. Does that actor look like that in real life? His whole everything just bothers me. His eyes, those contacts. This is based on a book, so maybe that's like an essential part. He had to have blue eyes. Y'all couldn't have consulted one of these YouTube baddies, one of these makeup girlies who switch their eye contacts out like nothing and it looks like they're real eyes. Y'all couldn't consult somebody. Like, what vendor are you using? Those contacts are so off-putting. Every time I see his face, it just takes me out. And his face looks like he has like some kind of prosthetic up in here. What's this man's name? Let's Google this man. John Blackthorn. The man's name is Cosmo Jarvis. I don't know. Did they do something to it? Nope. Oh, I'm so sorry, Cosmo. I'm so sorry, Cosmo. You look like that. That's just how you look, baby. That's just how you look in the face, isn't it? Bro, I thought they had like a little prosthetic or something to make him look more like a, I don't know, Neanderthal-y? But nope, that's just what that boy looked like. But he do look better with brown eyes. Get them blue contacts out that boy's eyes. They don't make any sense. They look crazy. But yeah, that's all I have for episode 1, Anjin. I love the show. It's a limited series, so that means we'll be able to get a beginning, middle, and an end. I'm very excited about that. Y'all know they have just been canceling these shows, leaving us with cliffhangers. I need you to follow through with me, okay? I don't do good with cliffhangers. So I'm super excited about this show. And yeah, stay tuned for my review of episode 2. See you in the next one.
Gostei,